And welcome to Germany. Welcome to the Valpo Basketball Hall of Fame, the great Chris Ensminger. It's great to catch up, and it's great to kind of welcome you to the Valpo Hall of Fame. So I would say long overdue, but obviously we were kind of waiting for you to finish playing in Germany before you got inducted, so you can come back. And then you've been coaching ever since. And eventually you said, "All right, we just got to bring him in somehow." So we're
Yeah.
doing it. We're doing this virtually, but a big congratulations and maybe just start off with the overall thoughts about finally making it into the Valpo Basketball Hall of Fame, the Valpo Athletics Hall of Fame, I should say.
Yeah. 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 Thanks for making this happen from everyone there. It's been a long time, and every year it's the same thing. Hey, can you come? But with my job and everything in basketball during the season, it's very difficult. But I'm honored and very grateful for the opportunity to be, inducted into this Valpo Athletic Hall of Fame. Um, and technology is great now, so we can do it via Zoom. 30 years ago, of course, this is not possible over the phone, and it's a pleasure to be there. And at some point, I'll get there during the season. Just don't know when that will be.
I want to let's talk about those first couple seasons, and then we'll move forward. I thought those first couple seasons, those teams had to be really fun to play on. A lot of three-point shooters. You mentioned the local kids. There were three local players on that team. In fact, I talked to Rob Cavanaugh and Casey Schmidt, and they both said the same thing about what a great teammate you were. You're willing to do everything to make them
Yeah,
better. Casey talked about what a great screener you were, but they
yeah,
talked about how hard you worked and how you wanted to win. You were for the team. You were one of those
yeah,
guys I think Valpo fans appreciated about you, how hard you worked on the glass and how you were a willing participant just to set screens. And that was those first 2 years. You did a lot more of that before you developed all those great offensive skills.
yeah. Yeah. No, and we had great shooters. So it was basically like a four out, one in type offense. We weren't running any pick and rolls back in the day. And I think I remember my junior or senior year, I've been talking to Scott and Coach Homer, about, hey, why don't we implement some pick and roll stuff? Because I am a good screener. No, 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 that's too much NBA style. Um, the post game gradually developed. They learned how to use me as I got older. But the three ball was definitely an Indiana and Valpo thing, and I think that's where I said, okay, establishing myself as a rebounder, to go after every basketball, whether it's offensively or defensively, and just help the team, like said, setting screens. And gradually as I developed, because my body was a late developer, because when I was sophomore in high school, I was about 6'3", and then my junior year I was about 6'7.5", 6'8". So I grew about 5 inches that year, and then tapped out in college about 6'9", and then grew maybe half inch more towards the end of my college career, and basically 6'9.5" or so.
Well, most known for rebounding, but I remember your offensive skills those last couple of years. You were double digit
Yeah.
score. You averaged a double double each year last 2 years. Here's a quote from Bryce Drew. The two greatest rebounders I ever played with were Charles Barkley and Chris Ensminger. That's not bad, right?
To be in the same sentence with Charles Barkley is, yeah, that's never had that before, but yeah, that's thanks, Bryce, appreciate it.
Uh, and they both talked about, Homer and Bryce talked about how hard you worked offensively to become a more productive offensive player.
Yeah,
Homer compared you to Kevin McHale. He said it was Valpo's Kevin McHale. He developed great footwork. He developed some more upper body strength, and not only the footwork, but all the moves inside, the up and unders.
yeah,
You were not blessed with this tremendous athleticism. You weren't jumping over people. You had to figure out ways to score. And
yeah.
everybody, common theme was how hard you worked to become such a good offensive player.
Taking like a post move from this player, taking a spin, a Chris Webber spin move. I wasn't dunking on anybody, but just like practicing those things and just teaching myself those types of moves. I just continued that throughout my career. And I think the like Kevin McHale, watching him, Larry Bird, these guys were great moves, the up and unders, being able to use both hands. My dad always preached when I was younger, hey, you got to be able to use your left hand, your right hand. And I think the jump hooks, very difficult shot to block, and then developing a sky hook over the career, even here in Europe, 17 years. So it was something I always worked on, took pride in.
I think one of the probably highlights of your career had to be finally making the NCAA tournament. Finally, you won the conference championship, and as it turned out, because of the change in the conference, didn't
Yeah.
qualify to make the NCAA tournament in 95, but in 96, you made the NCAA tournament. So you finally
Yeah.
got there in your final senior year. What was that like?
It was kind of like a storybook ending. You talk about. I'm getting chills now thinking about it. But I mean, playing like that whole, going. I remember the selection Sunday, seeing what kind of seed we're going to get, where we're going to be, and then of course playing in Arizona's backyard at Arizona State. There, that was a little home court advantage, but we had I think 50, 60 fans there up in the rafters with the 13,000 Wildcat fans there. But you know, it wasn't obviously a storybook game, but it was one of those where you're happy to be there. And you always have that for the first time, and sometimes you make some noise, and sometimes you don't.
You've been in Germany basically
Yeah,
ever since you left Valpo, pretty much.
yeah.
How did that happen? And talk about your unbelievable career. And before we kind of run out of time here, about what's happening with you now.
Yeah. Came over to Europe in '96. I really didn't know much about European basketball and until I think Casey Schmidt went over, Dave Redmond, some of my former teammates came overseas. I was like, okay, of course NBA is my dream, but kind of being not tall enough or big enough like Big Country or Eric Montross or not athletic enough as a Ben Wallace, I was kind of stuck in between. So came over to Europe, bounced around, played in France, Portugal, Poland, New Zealand with Tony Bennett, actually was my teammate in New Zealand, in Finland, and then found my home in 1999. And in Germany, went to East Germany and Weissenfels for 2 years, then went to Bamberg for 7 years, won two championships there, and then played EuroLeague, Euro Cup, and that's where I probably made my biggest step, basically as a 30, 33, 34-year old rookie EuroLeague player. And then I played 5 more years after that till I was about 39 and a half, and 1 year in Paderborn and 4 years in Telekom Basketball. So 14 years in Germany, all-time leading rebounder in the league, in the first league here, all-time leader in fouls too. Yeah, still stands.
Something don't
And
change. Is that what you're saying? Rebounding and a few extra fouls.
yeah, yeah. So I played hard, but the referees, they always give it to the guards, so the big guys. But I'm up there in free throw attempts. So it's just a joke. Free throw attempts and scoring. I think top 10. I don't even know. But had a great career. Most importantly, I stayed healthy. Didn't have any major injuries. Few things here or there, and then um, for 4 years after that, from 2013, I had an opportunity to take. We were thinking about coming back to the States, but then in 2013, I had a chance to be a head coach of a second league team. Did that for 4 years. Then I was relieved of my duties, otherwise known as fired, in February of 2017. And then we were also thinking about coming back to the States if there was a job opportunity. And then we said, well, Zach, I have two boys with Beth, my wife from Chesterton, Indiana. Been married now 26 years. Um, he had 2 more years of German high school, and we said, hey, why don't we just stay here, let him finish his high school, great education, and we moved to Ulm. And first year, I just volunteered here because we wanted to go to the best place that we felt for the family and for the basketball development. And now, then in 2000, spring of 2018, was offered to be the sport director of the Orange Academy here, and now been here. This is my 8th season doing this, and yeah, younger son Jake is playing at Santa Clara, so we've been empty nesters now for about 2.5 years. But I taught them to be Magic Johnson, so we didn't know. Beth is about 5'6", I'm 6'10", so we didn't know how tall they're going to be. So Zach's 6'5", 1, 2, 3. Jake's a 6'9", 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 3, 2, 1, whatever you want to call it. So positionless players, that's the way the game is. They can handle the ball, they can shoot much better than their dad. But yeah, we're had fun times over here, great experience, seen a lot, traveled, met amazing people from different countries. Really been good in a situation now here in Ulm where we're considered to be one of the best youth programs in Germany and throughout Europe. So very blessed to be a part of this and now impact these teenagers' lives and help them go to college, become pros. You know, be as Homer used to say. I always remember this, and I use this still today. Hey, be a great father, be a great brother, be a great teammate, all these types of things, because this is what it's about. And it's important to develop these relationships and impact these kids' lives, that they remember, hey, this is what it's about. It's not about basketball too, but about life and about education, and just making an impact in society.
Chris, it was great catching up. We could go on for hours.
We could,
Uh, uh,
yes, we could.
but we've got other people to put in the Hall of Fame as
Understand.
well. But great catching up. I know Jake's is up near 300 rebounds already through just a year and a half at Santa Clara. So you obviously taught him more about life, as much about basketball as about life as
Yeah,
well.
yeah,
But once
yeah.
again, as always, congratulations.